Wayne Rooney grew up as a hooligan in the streets of Liverpool. He'd drink, he'd party, he'd get into fights, even showing up to training with bruises on his face. He had no great physique or build, often being described as a fat ogre, and with the press out to get him, he had every reason to fall down a dark path throughout his career. But somehow, he became the greatest football player England has ever seen. From the age of 16, it was obvious to the world that Wayne Rooney had more talent than the Premier League had ever seen before, and over the course of the next 2 decades, the story of Wayne Rooney would become one of the greatest stories football had ever written, as it was filled with controversy, passion, and ultimately, greatness. But to understand how this little boy became the Rooney we know today, we must go back to the terraced streets of Liverpool, because on the 24th of October 1985, Rooney was born in Croxteth, a working-class area of the football-obsessed city. And during this time, Liverpool was arguably the footballing epicenter of the world, with Liverpool Football Club lifting 6 league titles and 2 European Cups, whilst Everton also picked up 2 league titles and an FA Cup. This meant that growing up, the beautiful game was practically impossible to avoid for young Wayne. So, whether the scouser was using creativity to dodge ruthless challenges in street football or playing in organized matches, he'd always make an impression on onlookers. But catching attention on Merseyside isn't easy, because despite talents like Steven Gerrard emerging from the city, few other Scouse kids were able to make it to the top of football. But with the talent Wayne showed from a young age, it wouldn't be long before both Liverpool and Everton showed an interest in him. But even though Liverpool was the much bigger football club, Rooney's family were passionate Evertonians. So, just like that, he signed for Everton's academy in 1996 at just 10 years old. But just signing for an academy didn't mean Rooney was going to head on the straight and narrow, because from a young age, by his own admission, he wasn't a very nice kid. You see, by age 12, he was traveling up the country to Manchester to see bands play, and he would frequently end up in brawls and mosh pits. The young forward would return to Everton's training ground battered and bruised, but somehow it wouldn't stop Rooney from dominating the academy matches. If the wonder kid had not been so talented, Everton might have kicked him out of their academy due to his aggression and recklessness. But instead, Rooney received special privileges as he continued to drink and scrap his way through his early teenage years. In fact, Liverpool's Jamie Carragher remembers being on a night out in the city when a 15-year-old Wayne Rooney approached him, claiming he was football's next star. The sentiment was shared among others in the city. His youth team performances were extraordinary, scoring 114 goals in 29 appearances across 2 seasons for Everton's youth team and 8 goals in as many matches on the Toffees' run to the FA Youth Cup final in 2002. As the striker bagged in the final against Aston Villa, he lifted his shirt, revealing an undershirt with the words, "Once a blue, always a blue," printed on its center. And from that moment onwards, Everton supporters begged for the teenager to be included in the first team. But little did they know quite how incredible the story of Wayne Rooney was about to go. When David Moyes got the Everton job in 2002, a member of the coaching staff told the Scottish gaffer, "You're a real lucky bugger, you. There's a young boy in the academy called Wayne Rooney." You see, everyone at Goodison knew Rooney would become a Premier League star from an early age. And when Waz had joined up with the first team as a 16-year-old on a preseason tour, excitement was through the roof. During his first week of training, Wayne showed confidence like he was already the best football player in the country. He scored his first goal in a friendly victory over SC Weiss and was awarded his competitive debut on the 02-03 season's curtain raiser as Everton hosted Tottenham Hotspur. The Spurs fans chanted, "Who are ya?" and booed whenever the 16-year-old touched the ball. But they were left speechless as Rooney provided an assist on his Premier League debut. The homegrown star featured in 7 of Everton's next 8 Premier League matches without registering another goal involvement, but despite failing to score, the forward's playing style was endearing to Evertonians. He played with a style that had been developed on the same streets the supporters lived on, and had a tenacity that embodied the values of the city. And with Rooney's 17th birthday fast approaching, the forward was desperate to become the first 16-year-old to score in the Premier League. The final game before his 17th birthday was a home match against Arsenal, and the Gunners were arguably England's strongest team at the time as they sat top of the table heading into the match and were on their way to a record-breaking unbeaten run, having gone 30 games without a loss. But as the game kicked off, it looked like he'd miss out on the opportunity to become the first 16-year-old to score in a Premier League match as he was placed on the bench. But come the 80th minute, the game was tied at 1, and this is when history was written. Rooney entered the field as a substitute, and his energy was electric, charging around the pitch as if he was a supporter himself, but doing so with a level of skill and elegance that supporters only dreamt of. As the game drew closer to the final whistle, a long ball was punted up to Rooney, which he controlled smoothly, swiveling past the defender. He took another touch to get the ball out of his feet before unleashing from 30 yards into the left-hand corner of the goal. And just like that, with stars like Thierry Henry, Ashley Cole, and Patrick Vieira on the pitch, the 16-year-old Wayne Rooney became the talk of the entire country as he single-handedly ended Arsenal's 30-game unbeaten run. After the game, Arsene Wenger went as far as to describe Rooney as the biggest English talent he'd ever seen since coming to the country. Now, as Rooney's status as football's next star grew, the media started to investigate the center forward's unique personality and tough upbringing, and while he was cheeky and lavish with his friends, Rooney appeared shy, unpolished, and bewildered in front of the media. During interviews, Wazza would struggle to articulate his sentences. In fact, the Englishman spoke so poorly that some tabloids ran vicious and unfair stories that he was unable to read and write. Then there was Rooney's physical appearance. His broad, powerful physique was useful on the pitch, but made him ridiculed off of it. Supporters and media claimed Rooney's look was even comparable to Shrek. But it wasn't just Rooney's appearance that made the Shrek tag stick. He had a temperament and naivety that created beast-like moments of madness. Even during off days, Rooney was still causing havoc. The forward remembers crossing a road in his local council estate with a large bottle of cider when one of the Everton coaches spotted him drinking in broad daylight. But despite such unprofessional behavior, nobody was willing to leave Rooney out of the team. And that was truly the right decision, because the 17-year-old was on fire, finding the back of the net on 15 occasions during his opening 2 Premier League campaigns. And with his ability growing more and more obvious, Rooney would soon be forced off the streets of Liverpool as interest from Manchester United grew and the 2004 Euros were fast approaching. Rooney had already made his England debut in February 2003 as he earned his first England international call-up during a 3-1 defeat against Australia, and a few months later, he scored in a home friendly against Macedonia to become his nation's youngest ever goal scorer. After netting 4 more times in the following 7 international games, Rooney forced himself into his starting position for the Three Lions at Euro 2004. Rooney started England's first game of the tournament, already believing he was the world's best player as an 18-year-old. He lined up against the imposing stars of France, Zidane, Henry, Thuram, Vieira, and Makelele, and made them look like they were schoolboys. He produced a breathtaking 10 out of 10 performance, combining perfect skill, aggression, and control. Even as a teenager, Rooney didn't care about the reputation or status of the opposition. He was willing to kick, hit, or nutmeg any defender that got in the way of his pursuit of becoming the world's best. There had not been the same level of excitement for an English talent since Paul Gascoigne emerged 2 decades earlier. He bagged 4 goals and notched an assist at Euro 2004 before England crashed out in the quarterfinals against Portugal. It was heartbreaking for England, but Rooney's reputation was sky high. Journalists claimed the youngster's breakthrough tournament had been as groundbreaking as Pele's in 1958, earning Rooney the nickname the White Pele. But the youngster might have been enjoying his newfound stardom a little too much. As tabloid news stories circulated that Rooney had been absent from his new Merseyside mansion for days, he'd been spotted going in and out of local brothels, while other newspapers claimed Rooney had been getting on it every week for 18 months. But the forward's questionable personal life didn't discourage Man United for signing the 18-year-old for €37 million. As much as Everton's status was incomparable to United's, local supporters were still furious that he betrayed his "once a blue, always a blue" slogan. Supporters graffitied the walls of Goodison Park with tags like "Fat Mank" and "Rooney, Scum, Judas." But the new United star managed to brush off the negative media headlines of the summer, banging a hat-trick on his Champions League debut at Old Trafford, and immediately the Scouser had won over the fans of his rival city. Only a few years earlier, Rooney had been making the 31-mile journey west to Manchester to start fights at concerts. Now, he was enjoying a 23-goal contribution debut campaign with Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United. United finished 3rd during Rooney's first season, but his fearlessness and world-class talent were too spectacular for the Red Devils to miss out on the big prizes for much longer. Still, he scored 16 goals and provided 9 assists during the following 05-06 campaign, but yet United again missed out on the Premier League title to Chelsea. But the biggest controversy Wayne faced that season was 3 games before the final day as United faced off against Chelsea, and Rooney did something unthinkable. Filled with anger over missing out on another title, Rooney changed his studs to be longer and sharper during the match against the champions because he was intent on injuring one of their players, but instead ended up hurting himself. Rooney's longer studs got caught in the ground as he charged down a Chelsea player, his foot bent forward, and he broke 3 toes, and just like that, England's most influential player had picked up a 6-week injury that looked set to rule him out of the upcoming World Cup. This was almost karma at its finest, but somehow, through a combination of painkillers and determination, Wazza limped his way onto the plane as a late arrival to the World Cup, telling the cameras the big man's back in town. Even in a team featuring Gerrard, Lampard, and Terry, Rooney backed himself as the team's defining player. However, Rooney's '06 World Cup was underwhelming. He rarely looked fully fit and failed to net a single goal until the worst moment of his international career so far unfolded as he got sent off after a controversial kick at Man United teammate Cristiano Ronaldo in the quarterfinals against Portugal. After Rooney's red card, Portugal won the quarterfinal on penalties, and just like that, the press turned on their golden boy. His red card for kicking Ronaldo was deemed unjust, but many critiqued the forward for failing to keep his composure and ultimately being responsible for England's exit. On top of that, the footballing world waited to see how Rooney and Ronaldo would respond to one another when they returned to Carrington. The duo's high-profile exchange had been headline news for weeks as footage circulated of Ronaldo winking at the camera after Rooney's red, implying that he deliberately got his Man United teammate red-carded. With pressure mounting and his most talented United teammate betraying him, Rooney could have crumbled and become another player on the endless conveyor belt of burned-out wonder kids. But the scouser was made of thicker stuff than that, as contrary to what the press tried to do, Rooney was about to enjoy one of the greatest redemption arcs in football history. There was a sense of desperation and pessimism among Man United supporters as the '06-07 season came around. The Red Devils had gone 3 consecutive years without lifting the Premier League for the first time since it began. Their 2 most talented attacking players had been involved in one of the summer's biggest fallout stories, and the media were waiting to bring them down. As United took on Fulham at Old Trafford for the season's opener, the world tuned in to see how Rooney and Ronaldo would pair up for the first time since the World Cup scuffle. But the hate watchers were left unfulfilled. Rooney scored twice and set up Ronaldo for another as United battered their London opposition 5-1. By game week 1, the 20-year-old had already silenced his doubters. By the end of the season, they were astounded. He scored 14 times and provided 12 assists as Man United won the Premier League in devastating style. Perhaps even more impressively, Rooney was humble enough not to always be the main man and facilitate the technical brilliance of United's other star attackers. It was a role the youngster would be forced to continue over the following 2 seasons as Ronaldo quickly developed into the world's greatest player. It's rare that more than one elite attacking player can make the headlines together without someone's ego getting hurt. Look at how Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar struggled to collaborate at PSG, how Isak and Salah have struggled to flourish in an attack featuring Ekitike, or how the Galactico era at Real Madrid failed to deliver meaningful success. But Rooney was less egotistical than tabloids gave him credit for and managed to take his game to another level while supporting Ronaldo. During '07-08, Rooney notched 24 Premier League goal contributions in 27 appearances as United went back-to-back in the Premier League. In the Champions League, Rooney scored 5 times as Sir Alex's men won the European title after beating Chelsea on penalties at Moscow. As England teammate John Terry cried alone in the Russian rain, a 21-year-old Rooney had already become the player that he dreamed of being while scrapping on the streets of Liverpool. But Wayne was hungry and wanted to build a legacy that would place him among the Premier League and Europe's very best attackers. Ronaldo won the Ballon d'Or after his mesmerizing '08-09 performances, but Rooney would hardly be left in the shadows without receiving critical acclaim. He produced 20 Premier League goal involvements in arguably United's greatest ever front 3, also regularly featuring Carlos Tevez and Dimitar Berbatov. Rooney was deployed in deeper roles on the wing and up front, as Sir Alex recognized Rooney's game was about more than just scoring goals. The record-breaking footballer was an equally competent passer, skillful in possession, and aggressive in winning tackles high up the pitch. United reached another Champions League final after Rooney produced 7 goal involvements in the '08-09 tournament, but unfortunately lost out to Pep Guardiola's unstoppable Barcelona team. That summer, Ronaldo was sold to Real Madrid, and Tevez made a controversial switch to Man City, placing United's goal-scoring responsibility primarily on Rooney. but Sir Alex trusted that Rooney was more than capable of replacing the goals and individual talent of Ronaldo and Tevez, opting not to splash out on another attacker that summer. Ferguson's trust in Rooney was admirable, but the forward needed assistance. Despite Rooney enjoying his best goal-scoring season to date with 26 Premier League strikes, United missed out on the title by a single point to Chelsea in 09-10. And after this season, Waza was concerned about the direction the Red Devils were heading in, and perhaps their failure to immediately replace Ronaldo and Tevez was an early sign of the struggles they had endured in the post-Ferguson era. Because while Sir Alex could perform miracles, most managers wouldn't be able to. Rooney foresaw United's decline and handed in a transfer request during the early weeks of the 10-11 campaign. United supporters were devastated that their star man had one foot out of the exit door, but last-minute talks with Sir Alex saw Rooney sign the most lucrative contract of his career as he pledged to stay at Old Trafford for 5 more seasons, committing his peak years to the English super club. It was a bold move by Rooney, who could have joined practically any club of his choosing, with Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and even arch-rivals Man City interested in luring the Premier League star from Old Trafford. Man City's 2008 takeover made the noisy neighbours a genuine threat to United's footballing dynasty. But with a little help from a wage increase, Rooney had no interest in helping them take down everything he'd contributed to building it United. Rooney's reintegration into Ferguson's team epitomized his importance too. Other stars like Roy Keane, David Beckham, and Ruud van Nistelrooy had tested the manager's authority, only to be kicked out of Carrington's back door. But Rooney was back to scoring goals for Man United. During February 2011, he scored one of the greatest goals in Premier League history with an iconic overhead kick against Man City. The wonder goal was symbolic of Rooney's decision to remain loyal to United over moving to their city rivals, and helped the Red Devils eventually win the title by 9 points. He notched his 4th goal of the Champions League final against Barcelona, but United would miss out once again to Guardiola's unstoppable side. There was no shame in losing to the world's greatest side, and the strike concluded an impressive 30-goal contribution season even amid the contract fallout. With a fresh headspace the following campaign, Rooney eclipsed anything he'd ever achieved on a personal level. He produced his greatest ever Premier League goal-scoring campaign with 27 goals and 6 assists in 34 matches. However, United missed out on the title to rivals Man City, and Rooney was undoubtedly frustrated with few signs of meaningful attacking reinforcements. So, heading into the 12-13 season, Fergie pinched Robin van Persie from Arsenal in an attempt to win the Premier League in his final campaign at Old Trafford. The Dutch signing pushed Rooney back into a supportive role, but it didn't deter his effectiveness or influence on the team, as he made 22 goal contributions in 27 Premier League appearances in what turned out to be his final title-winning season. Fergie retired, and United declined rapidly. But their decline in the immediate years after Sir Alex's departure might have been even more troubling if Rooney had not stuck around. He made 27 goal contributions in 29 appearances during the 13-14 season as United finished in 7th place. His output remained steady during the following years. He captained United to FA Cup glory in 15-16, but United's glory years were clearly behind them. It didn't stop the forward from becoming United's all-time record goal scorer in 2017 after notching his 250th goal for the club and retiring as England's all-time top scorer with 53 strikes. Rooney departed United in 2017 with 5 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League, 1 Europa League, an FA Cup, and 3 League Cups to his name to have an emotional reunion with his hometown club, Everton. The forward scored 10 Premier League goals in 31 appearances during his Goodison Park return before walking off into the sunset of the MLS as a true Premier League legend. He ended his career as one of the greatest players in Premier League history and had finally won the hearts of the media who had tried to break him down so many times throughout his career. Wayne Rooney, you legend. But if you enjoyed this video, I promise you the one on screen is even better, so trust me and give it a click.